You know, if you've been watching my channel up till now, you probably just know me as the guy who posts CS videos where me and my friends muck about and I make weird sounds. But underneath all the comedic exterior I've built up, there's a deep, dark side of me that likes the taboo, the unknown, and the things we're scared of. Take for instance my love for liminal spaces. When I put this image on screen, what emotion does it evoke? Do you feel this overwhelming nostalgia, maybe a distant memory or dream, combined with the feeling that you're not supposed to be here? See, that's what I like. But I also have a confession to make. Scary movies don't scare me, or at least most of them don't. I can name on hand only a few from my childhood that spooked me. Those being Coraline, the absolute banger from Tim Burton. Funnily enough, this one gave me nightmares about my parents being replaced with these puppet-eyed animals from another world, Sinister, and the movie 1408. But as the years went on, I stopped liking horror. It didn't appeal to me other than a few laughs. I still can't watch most horror movies without laughing and pointing out the obvious flaws. So what about video games? Well, being born after the renaissance of horror games, I didn't get to experience the classics until later on in life, and the only horror games I can remember playing were Resident Evil 4, Slenderman, and I think Outlast for like 5 minutes on my friend's PC. So how did I grow to love them, and what actually makes a good horror game? See, the best horror games are the ones where you have just enough control that you feel you are your own conscious being, while still knowing that that control can be taken away at any moment. Video games get an extra way of telling a story by putting you in control of the protagonist, and it works wonders. I think one of the reasons I'm not scared by horror movies is I simply don't care what happens to the people in them. Take for instance 80s slasher films. Yeah, maybe these scared your parents or grandparents when they came out, but they all boil down to some stupid teenagers trying to get drunk and have sex while being killed by whatever sci-fi impenetrable evil they've crossed paths with. Yet in video games, this extra level of immersion can make me actually care what happens to the character, or better yet, when the character has just enough personality for the player to naturally self-insert themselves into the story. And this has been a common theme in games, even ones that aren't horror. Take the Doom games or the last game I covered, Half-Life. The only games that have this are the only ones that work for me. Let me use a game maybe you haven't heard of, Murder House. See, this game is obviously inspired by the first 3 Resident Evil games, but it does a good job of standing out on its own. You play as a camera woman for a film crew that's shooting a story on the house of a guy who dressed like a pink rabbit and killed people, I guess. And yet this budget indie game managed to capture that old school horror game feel and immerses the player into feeling like you're actually there. You're actually exploring this dingy house with these people you don't really trust. And if a budget game can do this, then when a AAA title like Silent Hill or Resident Evil does it, and does it right, then it's an ass-clenching, fear-inducing experience. And where this need for immersion comes is from that one moment in your brain, that one, oh shit moment. That moment when you don't know what's happening next. You could be hurt or maybe even die. I've had quite a few near-death experiences in my life, but I'll give you one story that gave me that insane, fearful adrenaline, and that's about 3 months after I got my first car. I was driving down a dirt road and I stopped, looking at the road to plug in my phone, and as I fumbled with it, I felt my car wobble a little bit. I look up and realize I'm about to go right off the edge of the road, to which there is a 10-foot steep ditch located directly to my right. So, like a Chad, I swing my car to the left, which makes the rear tires completely lose traction, it being a front-wheel drive car and all. And it was this exact moment. I knew I was going to crash, but so many thoughts flooded my mind. Am I going to die? If not die, then am I going to be seriously injured? And also, will my car be okay? So I slammed on the brakes and went off the road down a smaller, not as steep ditch through a barbed wire fence into a farmer's pasture. I got out, noticed my car was miraculously okay other than being scratched to hell on the front hood and bumper. I didn't even have a flat tire even though I went through straight barbed wire. A moment of relief hit me. I'm okay. My car's okay. I didn't die. Then came the next round of fear. Did anybody see me? If so, are they going to call the cops? And if that happens, am I going to get a ticket or go to jail? Well, let's just say I didn't stick around to find out, but I deeply apologize to that farmer and I hope your cows didn't get out. They were pretty chill. Anyways, the reason I picked this story is when a horror game has that same pacing throughout, it's amazing. The oh shit moment followed by the alright I'm fine, only to be followed again by another oh shit moment. That pacing just keeps you on your toes. When a horror game is really good at immersion, it shows. Because if you scare them at the beginning, that's well and dandy, but if you can keep them scared and unnerved the entire time, then that's when you know a game did their job right. My most recently played horror game that I felt did this was Resident Evil 7. You're walking around and you never really feel safe unless you're in one of the save rooms located throughout. After you get attacked by Jack and notice him surveying the house, you know he's always lurking, and it affects how lightly you tread and how fast you have to make it from one side of the house to the other. Everything you do is calculated. After that, the game makes you realize that you're in the thick of it. You've been stuck in this house, and creepy stuff has happened, but now you know there's always going to be someone looking for you, and you're going to have to look over your shoulder, checking every corner, and preparing to run or shoot. And even then, you're not in control. I could end the video here, but I think that would be too easy. I want to talk about something controversial for a second. Action horror. A love-hate relationship in the horror community, and there's no other game to reference other than Resident Evil 4. Recently this game was remade, and I knew it wouldn't be received as poorly or as divisive as its original grandfather. The original tore people two ways in the community. You either loved the evolution into a more action-based game, or you liked the original horror game so much that you were mad that they deviated from the original evolutionary title. I personally like Resident Evil 4, and I'm glad its remake didn't turn out as bad as other studios who have re-released games. I started playing through it again and I realized that it still has its horror elements, but it's a different kind of game. And later on, many studios would come out with these action horror type games, like for instance, even though bar for bar Dead Space is way scarier, I would personally consider it to be an action horror in the weapons and boss battles you'll have throughout the game. So this is a good example of RE4 and Dead Space being cult classics in their own right, even though they have action elements within them. A good example of this concept failing, however, would be Doom 3, and looking back on it, you guys were crybabies about this one. Sure, it has its issues, but that's mainly the flashlight mechanics and the fact it deviates from some of the Doom concepts, and you're really not going to get that original Doom feeling until the end of the game. Whether it's a horror game or one of its subgenres, the reason I was able to love horror games is because nothing personally scares me more than reality. But these games' main goal is for you as the player to overcome your deepest fears and push through that anxiety and stress that can build up as you play. If you can get over your fear of someone like Pyramid Head, then it might help you deal with your fears that are consistent with daily life. Or you may just die, who knows. Hey guys, I hope you like these commentary type projects I've been putting out. It's a good outlet for me to discuss my thoughts and opinions and do videos that aren't just FPS, so if you liked it, please subscribe. Oh, sorry guys, I gotta go get the door really quick. Oh, hey famed comedian Jerry Seinfeld, what are you doing here this late at night? Wait, why are you looking at me like that, Jerry? Jerry? No, don't do it, Jerry. I really haven't been getting along with it.